Speaking of reliability, a podcast with good friends talking with you about reliability engineering topics. Welcome to Speaking of Reliability. This is Fred Schenkelberg.
And this is Mojan Sahi.
Hey, Mojan, good talking to you again.
You too.
You sent me an email with a whole list of questions in it, and I figured, well, if I prepare too much, it'll sound like I prepared. So I didn't look at it, other than there was a list of questions. Did you just make these up, or did you get these from some friends or somewhere else? Or?
It was partially with made up, partially ChatGPT. So
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, I thought we would try something a little bit different today. I've got a few questions written up, and we're just going to do a rapid fire style. And I'll just I'll tee the questions, and I'll try and keep us on time. And
good luck.
So yeah, at some I will push us to the next question at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, so that will be the format. Does that sound good?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Fred, the first question for you is zero failures ever a realistic reliability goal?
No.
Okay.
I told you I could be quick. No,
you have 1 minute to elaborate.
It's physically impossible. I mean, it's just technically not possible. And so if you set a goal that's not possible, you might as well not have a goal at all. Remember that the purpose of the goal, like most engineering specifications, is to give guidance to your team and set expectations for your customers. And that is destroyed when you promise something that's not possible. So it's never feasible to have one. That's not saying that you can't work towards minimizing the number of failures, as close to zero as you can get. Yet the goal set at zero is a non-starter, in my opinion.
That makes sense. So what would be your recommendation for how the goal should be set? Like you will have some failures. So how would someone go about saying what's an acceptable number?
Yeah, there's two parts of that. Remember, the customer is the ultimate judge of it. So it's really listen to your customers and understand what they need and what level of reliability they actually need and or expect. And that's the starting place. And then what's technically feasible? What is even possible with the technologies you're using and the manufacturing processes you're using? And cost. Yeah, I can make something that's near zero failures, yet nobody can afford it. So why? It's a non-starter. So it's a combination of those three factors that go into setting a goal that can guide your team. So it's not a hard exercise. But you need to pay attention to all three. And different industries have different weighting factors on those considerations.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to move us to the next question. I think I know the answer to this one already, but
right. Is it no?
Well, depending on the way it's phrased, I think you will say yes, but I think the question is, should MTBF be banned from reliability reporting?
Oh yes, definitely. I've been talking about this for 15 years.
This is probably exactly. This is not new to people, I think. Do you want to just give a 15-second spiel on why it's not a good metric and why you think it should be banned?
Well, I could go on and on and on. I have a whole website with 400 articles on it. So it is I could talk about this for a long time. Succinctly, though, I think there's two elements of why we should just avoid using it if for any reason whatsoever. Is first, it's a mean, and it strips out the information that we typically really want to know. Is what's the variability, what's the variance, or what's the spread of the data. We're rarely, if ever, interested in when, on average, they fail, and depending on the underlying distribution, it could be at 50%, or it could be at 63%, it could be at 40%. So it's not well defined, and it's a number we really don't care about. we more often care about the first percentile or the first 10 failures or some other early tail type thing. And the average gives us no information about where that tail is. So it's meaningless just as a number for what we're interested in. Second, a whole bunch of people in this world just don't know what in the world it means. They think it's failure-free period, and I could go on and on with like 15 different ways it's misunderstood. It is wholesale misunderstood as to what it represents as a metric. It is not reliability. It is not a time to failure with a probability over some duration in a known environment and so on. It's just worthless.
Love it. Yes. Yes. I think I certainly agree with you. Okay.
Otherwise, our conversation would be done. We're done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, how can we possibly be friends?
That's right. I teach a class at University of Maryland on reliability engineering management, and I make it very strict rule with them. This is a no MTBF. This is an MTBF free zone. It shall not be brought up, discussed, or anything else other than to confirm on how bad it is. And so some people resist, and I have good discussions. And they get a lower grade.
That's good. Yeah, definitely. No bias there whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Okay. Question number 3. Should companies disclose product reliability data to customers?
It's unfortunately too many companies listen to their lawyers rather than what their customers and users really need. The very few exceptions that I've seen companies say, this is how it fails and this is when it will fail, and share their test data. It was sort of like a quasi physics of failure model for this IGBT. And they said, if you use it in this application, here's what's going to fail, and here's how you know for your instance, for your use of it in temperatures and frequencies and so on, this is the expected distribution for failure. And you could calculate it yourself, tailor it to you. And vice versa. The other application they were commonly used in equally had a detailed layout of here's what we know, here's how it's going to fail, and so on. The part is that failures are deemed bad by marketing. That's why they don't let engineers talk to customers. And so we don't talk about failures. There was a Disney movie that was We Don't Talk About Bruno, I think was a famous song from the movie. And industry-wide, we don't talk about failures. Yeah, everybody knows they happen. Everybody knows you got to deal with them and understand it. And so I think they should, and better companies, better teams, when prodded, will tell you how their product's likely to fail. And they may or may not share details of that. And it's unfortunate that we don't celebrate failures and how things work and don't work equally. I think it's mind-bogglingly distressing because we know nothing's perfect. Yeah. We need to know how to, especially safety stuff. We need to know how it fails so we can accommodate or mitigate the failure so that we can make it feel safe or cold or something like that. But if we don't know how it's going to fail, we're blind. We got to go figure it out ourselves.
All right. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to move us to the next question, which is software reliability harder to manage than hardware reliability?
It's getting better. It used to be just denied that it existed, that software had any reliability element to it at all. And that's been pretty much proven to not be the case. Software does fail for customers, and that's a failure was it in the last week, 2 major cloud services, the cloud computing services, had outages, and it was a software update or a software setting or some sort like that. It wasn't like a server went out. They have that wired so they don't deal with it or don't have to worry about it. But they rolled out an update or something and the whole system went down. And that's cost money. And that's what I defined a failure in the field is anything that costs money. If the software failure didn't matter and nobody noticed and nobody cared and it didn't cause anybody outages or planes to be grounded or anything else, then it's not a failure. It's an unknown feature at this point. But software reliability is getting more tools are available, more people are talking about how do you measure it, how do you monitor it, how do you track it, stuff like that. It's 25 years ago, it was complete denial. And now it's being more accepted. So it's easier to manage. It's still got a ways to go.
Awesome. I really like this question and I like this topic. Maybe we can do an episode on that later.
Okay.
Because I think it's we can go into I think a lot more depth. That would be very interesting. At least selfishly, I think for me it would be interesting. Okay. Question number 5. Do accelerated life tests like HALT and HAS still have a place in today's fast product development cycles?
I think they have even more spotted in it. The highly accelerated life test is, in my opinion, the second worst 4-letter acronym we got in our vocabulary, followed only by MTBF, of course. It's not a test you can pass. It's highly accelerated, yet it's not. It doesn't have an activation energy or a translation to how long it'll last in real life and stuff like that. It's very different than accelerated life tests, where we're deliberately trying to figure out what's the life distribution for this failure mechanism. HALT, and why I think it's very useful, especially when we're trying to do rapid prototyping or moving fast or stuff like that, is within a day or two, you can find failures that you otherwise would have not seen until it was too late, until either the customer discovered it for you or it was you're ramping for production, and then it shows up. So even in the very, very early prototypes and mock-ups and everything else, is go play with it, go stress it, go force it to fail, and figure out if that failure is relevant for your technology and do you need to address it. The whole idea is that you can't improve a product's design unless you know how it fails. So stop pretending it's not going to fail and go figure it out, go break it. Besides, it's my 7-year-old self in my best, screwdriver holding next to the toaster saying, how does this thing work? And then I figured out how it fails pretty quick.
Yes.
But it's more useful than doing a 6-month study and some cycling test of some sort, right? I don't have 6 months. I've got 6 days. How does this fail? Can I do something about it? Let's fix it. And you can do that within a week. So I think it's even more relevant in teams that are trying to move fast.
Awesome. Okay. The next question is, should reliability engineers own warranty data or should they stay with quality or service or other teams? This one is kind of nuanced. I could see. Yeah, I can see this.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. It extends to is why do you need reliability engineers? If you got a good team, it's built into the design and manufacturing processes. And it's just what you do. So I've done over 200 assessments in my career so far. And I've lost count after that. And I have seen large teams that pretty much had their fingers on everything related to reliability, including the warranty and warranty returns and failure analysis and repair centers and everything else. And they were worthless. That team was just in the way. They caused more pain than they solved anything. And I've seen other teams that had no reliability presence whatsoever. It was just mechanical engineers and software engineers and managers and directors and manufacturing folks and everybody else knew that they wanted to create a reliable product and they had the tools and capabilities to do so. And they did a great job. And warranty doesn't, likewise, I've seen it in customer service, I've seen it in finance, I've seen it in operations, I've seen it in design. And with examples of where it was great and other places where it was a disaster. It's more the attitude of the organization. This information is useful. It's not a cost center. It's a source of valuable information of our customers taking time to tell us this isn't working and then what to do about it. If you treat it as a cost center and, oh, heaven forbid, put a bunch of AI chats on your customer facing place where they have to try to do a return or complain about your product, you're just forcing them to go to your competitors. And you lose the information about why they're going to their competitors, other than they don't like stupid customer service. But it's mind-boggling to me is how much information you leave on the table if you don't pay attention to the returns and customer complaints. And whoever owns it needs to have a conduit to the rest of the organization so that they get that information, because it's gold. It's absolutely gold. And if it fits under operations and they get that for them to reduce scrap and to reduce field failures, they have to improve the design, then it's great. But it could be a finance officer. It could be somebody in customer service. It really doesn't matter. It's how well that organization values that information that comes back from warranty types operations.
Mm. Yeah, it's like there's two parts to it, basically. There's one part of like getting the information back, and then of course the second part is making sure that it's accessible and visible to the rest of the organization so that something useful can be done with it.
That's right.
Awesome. All right, our next question, also the last one, and maybe this is a bit more topical, I think. It's about the use of AI in understanding reliability. The question is phrased in such a way that I'm like, you can read it in different ways, but do AI and machine learning tools really understand reliability or just correlate failures?
Those are two separate questions.
I feel like, I mean, my answer to this is like, it kind of depends. I think it can really depend on what the issue is. But I'm curious what your experience has been, because my experience has been quite intriguing so far in playing around with different tools and like AI tools, how remarkable it can be to, like, the information that it can provide, and the correlations that it can make that would not necessarily be very obvious right off the bat. So I've seen, but at the same time you have to be very careful to make sure that you're checking every detail and assumption behind the analysis, so that, which you would do anyways, but of course especially in this case, because I've definitely come across cases where I'm like, but that doesn't make sense, and then the response from whatever tool I'm using is like, yeah, you're right, that does not make sense, my apologies.
Yeah.
And then
well, there's I think the one part that AI is not going to be very good at is the things that we haven't run across before. We as an industry, or we as, we keep creating new materials, new tools, new manufacturing processes. Customers use our products in new and different ways that nobody has expected. And we see failure mechanisms that we've never, ever experienced before. We, the collective, all of us engineering types. So it's not written down anywhere. It's not anything that a model can be trained on. So I see there's an edge where, yeah, if you know that there's 600 ways this pump can fail, and all of them have unique symptoms or variations of, it's like the medical stuff when they look at an X-ray. The AI systems can read an X-ray for lung cancer as well or better than a pulmonologist or whatever, a lung doctor. Yet they're well trained. They have lots and lots of readings that were accurate and readings that weren't accurate, and they had surgeries afterwards to figure out which was right and which was wrong. And it's beautiful training material. Right now, go to whatever company you want to, pick one, and ask them about, do you have documentation of all the symptoms, the failure modes, correlated to the resulting failure mechanism that caused it? I'm quite sure that you're not going to find that information that you could use to train a system for a particular product or system. Now we know capacitors can crack, and an AI system can say, well, that affects the circuitry and you won't have this much voltage at this point on this trace, and that might lead to crosstalk or whatever. Yeah, but that's all documented. Electrical engineering is very well documented, and when a capacitor doesn't act like a capacitor anymore, it's an extension of what our various CAD and modeling tools can do. It just makes it cleaner and faster. What I find is the issue is that we don't have a great training base. It goes back to the other question: should they publish? Companies publish their reliability, their failure data, or their failure information. They don't, and even internally, it's hard to find if it exists. So, what are we going to train the system on, such that it'll give us reasonable information about our system? Knowing about pumps in general is great, but is this a 6,000 gallon per minute pump or a 3 microliter per minute pump? What? And they probably have different failure mechanisms, and then depending on what you put through it, again, different, and so on and so on and so on. So I think it can help us cut through some clutter, give us ideas. Yet my overall take on it so far, where I've seen people using AI, is usually as a shortcut so they don't have to think. And for example, and I'm sure you would never do this, is you have an FMEA coming up and you got 2 days to get it done. So you say, all right, here's our bill of material. What's our FMEA? And it pre-populates everything. It's got 6,000 lines on it. And you take it to the team and they like, we're not reading this. All right. Looks like you're done. Yeah. We're done. All right. Yeah. Check. FMEA is done. It's absolutely worthless. It's, yeah. But it is what Carl would say is that if you have somebody in the room using an AI system as another part of the discussion. So let the discussion go, well, how could this failure, what are the causes for this failure? Let's brainstorm causes for this particular failure mode. And then the AI person is working with the AI system says, oh, we got everything except this one. Is this relevant in our circumstance? So it's vitally different than saying, all right, AI, what are the causes of this failure mode? All right, 10th, that looks good. We don't have to think about it now. Move on. And a good facilitator wants that discussion because we're going to have to prioritize these things. What is our information for our system, our customers, and so on, with our design practices that says this is most important, this isn't. And AI can tell us all kinds of stuff that's important or not important, but it's not going to get the buy-in and the action from that team that's supposed to understand why we're doing what we're doing and take action on it. So it's, in my opinion, AI is just another tool. It can do all kinds of cool stuff. I agree with you that whether I'm doing the calculations by hand or with a computer or with AI, you still got to do the sniff test. Does this feel right? Is it the gut check piece of it? Yet I'm finding way too many people that just AI write me an email based on this input, and they send it, and then they send a second message 30 seconds later saying, "Oops, I should have proofread that because it's not what I want to say." And if you can't take time to use the tool well, don't use it. If the training information going into that system is not relevant to the sphere that you're trying to understand or work on, which in reliability, there's very little training information available, except in rare cases. And then the third one is, remember that the point is not to get the graph done. It's to be able to convince other people of what it means. And if you don't know what it means, just because you created it quickly and haven't thought about it, or why does this look good or not good, then you're misusing the tool. So I haven't seen a killer application in reliability yet. I've seen probably 9 out of 10 applications where somebody's, oh, we can do this with AI. And hitting all the wrong check boxes for me as to why it's just eroding the amount of thinking people have to do. And once we start doing that, we regress to the mean. It's just going to give us an average answer, and we're going to make average products. So I have a healthy skepticism of pretty much anything I've seen so far, and that's probably tainting my count, but I really haven't seen it be useful yet.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the sniff test part, of course. It has, in some cases, it's definitely saved me some time. But yeah, I'm always like, I'm very cautious about all the assumptions and everything that go into it. So, yeah, it's been it's like you say, it's a tool, and it's been useful for me as a tool. But it's nothing beyond that at the moment.
Yeah. Whereas, a reliability engineer joining a design review, say for a structure of some sort, it's the inquisitiveness that I haven't seen in AI yet. It says this is the answer. These are considerations, and those are great. And sometimes they say, well, it'll ask follow-up questions of, well, have you thought about opening a rock band? I was like, what in the world are you talking about? It's just it was, and this was a couple of years ago. I hope they're getting better, but the idea of being able to read the room and the facial expressions, I think all that stuff AI is going to do or already does. Yet it often then lacks the context of where it is you have a series of prompts, and if those prompts and its training aren't sufficient to help you, then it's not going to be able to help you. It may sound very convincing. So I have and it didn't matter. I mean, I had a slide rule. I didn't trust it until I could figure out how to, verify the calculations by hand over and over and over again. So I'll adopt technology quickly, and I'll not trust it for a long time. And I think reliability is one of those areas that we just don't have. I mean, I've seen people use ReliaSoft's Weibo++ has a wizard in it, I think it's called, where it'll fit like 12 distributions to whatever data set you put in there. And then it'll have 3 different ways to say, oh, this is a good fit or not. Now, those 3 different goodness of fit tests only each apply to a subset of the different distributions and types of data and situations and so on. But ReliaSoft doesn't tell anybody that. You have to dig deep into the documentation to understand it. Yet in 30 seconds, you can take a big data set and you can get, oh, the ultra gamma twirly distribution fits the best. And I've seen more than one person, and even in a legal case, I was reviewing one was a company that was every fit they did was based on whatever the wizard said, independent of whether it was relevant or not. And then
does it make sense or not?
Yeah, and then they figured out, well, the boss wants the projection of future failure rates to be low, so I'll pick the distribution that picks the lowest future distribution.
Yeah,
and
if you just take the outliers out, it looks great.
Yeah, but this is just dangerous. There's absolutely no thinking going on here. And now just stick the data in a chat system and say, I want low failure rates next month. And it will give you a fit that gives you low failure rates next month with no ethical concern at all.
Yeah, because it doesn't understand the context.
Doesn't understand that. So I think that's the key word I was looking for. It's the reliability stuff we do. When a product or a design fails, it costs the customers some discomfort or could kill them, depending on the failure. And it can cost them money. It can cost us money. It could put us out of business. Most of the time, it's a warranty return, if that. It's just that we're often the people that are the mouthpiece or the voice of the customer when it comes to that this should just work. and the failure should be benign and stuff like that. And I don't think AI is equipped to do that for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't talked you out of using AI, have I?
Oh, no. I think we're on the same page in this. Like, I mean, it's a tool, right? It's like telling me not to use a calculator. Like, I'm gonna
Right.
use it, but of course, I have to understand how, what is it doing, and what context am I using it in? Yeah. So,
Exactly.
yeah, no, that
Well,
was great.
interesting questions. Yeah. Yeah. So
And
even though you generated some of these with AI, I'll let
yeah,
let
that's
it go.
I mean, it was a good discussion. So
No,
hopefully,
interesting range of stuff, and it's similar to the types of questions we get from our listeners. So I'm curious if you want to play with AI, and if you're listening to this and you want to play with AI a little bit and see what kind of questions I don't know the answers, or does this make sense? Those kinds of things, or you just have a series of questions you'd like us to chat about. Let us know. We're always looking for stuff to talk about. You can do that
yes.
over at accendoreliability.com/go/SOR. And there's a couple of ways to get in touch with us. Mojan and I are available through LinkedIn, and our other co-hosts are available through LinkedIn and our About pages. So plenty of ways for you to get your questions and ideas and comments over to us. And we'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Except the mechanical AI-driven voice, that would not get on the air. All right. Well, thanks so much for the idea. I appreciate it, and enjoy the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Talk to you soon. Cheers. Thanks for listening to Speaking of Reliability. We invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question or a topic that you think we should discuss in a future show, please let us know. You can find a comment box below the episode show notes, or just leave a note as part of a review on iTunes.